Hey everybody, it's Dana and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's tutorial is one that you guys requested because you wanted to see how I made this card. I made this card using the Hero Arts My Monthly Hero Kit for February 2022, and I used these Iulie Watercolors. Now this company is on Etsy. I'll put the link below, and I'm going to show you how I created this card. Now let me just quickly share with you what these colors look like on black watercolor paper. They are absolutely gorgeous. I love the colors and I love the shimmer on this. And again, I'll make sure to put the link in the description box below. Now the watercolor paper I'm using today just happens to be in Stonehenge Aqua cold press in black, and I'm also going to be doing some heat embossing with some gold embossing powder. I'm going to recreate this card that you guys already saw, and these are the watercolor brushes. I love using watercolor brushes like this and using them with water instead of the ones that are filled with water. I just feel like I have better control, and I also have some clean water. So I went ahead and I stamped out the image already onto that black watercolor paper. Now these little color dot charts are fantastic when you just want to try out some colors. You're not sure what you're going to like, and that's why I love that we had the Daniel Smith dot chart as well in this month's kit. For the coloring today, I'm going to be using a number 2 round brush. This is going to get into those smaller areas and allow me to get in a finer cut. Now with these watercolors, the best thing I have realized is you want to use a pipette and get these really nice and wet before you start using them. They're a little bit different than normal watercolors. You really want the water to sit on the color before you start using it so you can get the best vibrancy out of it. So as you can see, I'm just putting a drop of watercolor on each color and just kind of letting that sit in for a little bit. This is going to allow me to have more of a full strength color, but we are going to be building up this color as well. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's go ahead and start watercoloring. So I start in rainbow order. I'm going to go from my red all the way down to my pinks. So I kind of wet the paper first, and then I kind of pull in the color. Now you'll see throughout the video, I kind of do wet to wet and then wet to dry. It all depends on like really how I'm flowing with my painting that day. So wet to wet's going to give you more of a water spread. Wet to dry paper is going to not have the color flow as much. You know what? Let me zoom in so you guys can see this a little bit better. All right, now you can see it, and now I'm really coming in with that color. Now, it did not take me long to watercolor this, but I did speed it up a little bit because I think the video was almost like 25 minutes, and I felt that you guys could see the process of what I'm doing and still grasp exactly what's going on. So as you can see, I'm pulling from those color dots. Now I have used color dots for a while now, even the Daniel Smith color dots, and they do last quite some time. So it really gives you the opportunity to see if you're going to really like that watercolor before you actually buy a full container of it. So as you can see, I'm coming in and I'm doing that rainbow order. Sometimes I might come in first with the water and then the color, or sometimes I just go directly to it. Now, some of these colors on this chart are going to be, in my opinion, a little bit more vibrant. As you can see right here in this blue color, it comes off very, very vibrant. But again, the longer you let your water sit on the dot per se, the more of the shimmer you're going to be able to pull from the first time you go to watercolor. So I went from the blue, and now I'm going into this fuchsia, which is my absolute favorite. I mean, guys, look at this color. It is so gorgeous. And with these colors, they give you a lot of shimmer. Now, this is just one coat. This is exactly just one coat, and I'm going to go in and build up that color. With me building up that color, that's what's going to give me the vibrancy that you guys have seen in that card. So I'm going right back through my rainbow again. I started with the red, and then I'm going to come in with that orange color. Now, the yellow on here was a little bit more of a yellow green per se, so I changed it out for gold. And you're really going to see the difference now, how that gold kind of pops as a yellow now, compared to just having it with that other yellow, which kind of gave me a limey kind of color. Now you can achieve this with the Hero Arts watercolor inks as well, I believe, because you're going to get some of that shimmer as well. I just think these have different properties. So I think this one might have a little bit more shimmer, but you can totally try it out with the Hero Arts metallic inks as well. Once I have those layers down, I'm going to go ahead and heat set this because I want to kind of see where my color is. How is it going? Do I need to deepen it up? Is there any areas that need more color than others? And then that's when you decide how much more you need to build up that color. I decided to go in one more time and really intensify that color. Now, the more color I add, obviously, the more shimmer I'm going to get, the more sparkle I'm going to get. So you'll see by just doing this kind of layer here, and I'm not using a lot of water, my water to paint ratio is really, really low. So that's where I'm going to get more of a vibrant color because I have more watercolor than I have water on my brush. So just keep that in mind as well. Just play around with your paint to watercolor ratio, and then you'll be able to see what works best for you. And I've built that up, and look how gorgeous this is. Now, to fill in those white areas, I decided to use gouache. Gouache really gives coverage very, very well when it comes to black cardstock. So I just mixed a little bit of water into my gouache, and now I can paint my clouds. And you're really going to be able to see how that gouache works. You can really see the intensity of that white. Now you could use white watercolor paint, but you're gonna have to add in a lot more layers compared to just doing it with the gouache. I've used gouache several times in the past and just like played around with it. I did a couple of paintings that I don't even think I put them, I might have put them up on Instagram, but I didn't make a video, I don't believe. And gouache is just another one of those things when it comes to watercoloring. If you like acrylic paint and you like watercolor, this is like the combination of those two making a baby. That's basically what gouache is the combination of that acrylic paint and that watercolor. But as you can see on this black cardstock, look how much coverage I'm getting. Now, if you wanted to see a little bit more of the black cardstock through this, I would just suggest to use less water. Again, we're right back to that water and paint ratio. I have a lot of gouache here and a little bit of water. And that is going to allow me to have a deeper coverage of that white gouache compared to if I had more water. And you'll be able to see that a little bit later on when we start doing the background. But using the gouache really, really helps these colors actually pop. If I did watercolor that was a light wash of white, it wouldn't really make the colors pop as much as it does when I have those fluffier, whiter clouds. All right, I have enough of that covered, and now I want to go ahead and just set this aside to dry. I'm not even going to heat set this. I'm just going to set it aside to dry, and we'll go ahead and start working on that background. This is absolutely gorgeous. Now, for the background, this is going to be a lighter background because you're going to see I'm going to use a larger brush because I have a larger area to go over. And I'm going to use more water than I do paint. So I'm going to pull back in those dots again. I'm going to reactivate those with some water, but you're going to see that there's going to be a total different color of this because I have a larger brush, I'm covering a larger area, and I'm using more water. So once these paints are activated again, use that pipette to put that water down so you can already get that water into that watercolor before you get started. So first I'm just going to come in with some water, and this is just clean water. I have it mixed with nothing, and I'm just going to start adding in this color. So as you can see, I'm doing rainbow order just like I did before. But as you can see, this color is much lighter. And that is because I am using more water to paint ratio. All right, so always keep that in mind. Even if you feel the need to like kind of test that out before you bring it to your paper, just have a scratch piece of paper onto the side and kind of try to gauge that water to paint ratio that's going to work for you. For this, I'm just coming straight across my panel. Now, I'm not trying to get every color like evenly spaced. I'm just getting down the color. And again, this part doesn't have to be perfect. If I wanted it to have like really crisp lines between each color, I would need to tape that off. But again, I'm just doing a wash of this. So this way the colors are gonna kind of like blend together, but they are going to be softer than the color we had on the door that we did. So as you can see, I'm just bringing that color all the way to the end. And once again, I went all the way through the rainbow. Now I do heat set this back. Now you'll see every now and again, I push my paper down. This is just so my paper doesn't bow. This is just a good tip for you guys. If you forget to tape down your paper, as you heat set it, just kind of in certain areas, push it down and it'll keep it from being like really warped at the end. Now remember what I said about building up that watercolor, right? Here we go again. I'm adding another wash on top of this. Once again, I have more water to paint, so I'm going to get a lighter color blend on this. But as you can see, it still looks so pretty and it gives a great shimmer to the background. Now, if you wanted to, you could do this and then die cut this into something, die cut it into a heart, or trim it down and use it on different pieces, put it behind a sentiment. You know, always remember, anytime you have a background made like this, you can turn it into something else without necessarily having to just have it as a background. Just try to be a little bit creative with it. Once again, I'm coming in, I'm heat setting this. You see, I'm tapping that paper, holding that paper in spots. And again, this really does help with the warping. All right, once I have this heat set back, you're gonna see how gorgeous this looks. I do want to make sure I heat the back of it as well because there is a lot of water saturated into this paper. But look at the shimmer on this. You get so much of this gorgeous sparkle. And then when we bring in the other piece that we colored, you're going to totally see the color difference. See, the one on the top is a lot brighter because I use more paint. The one on the bottom is softer because I use more water. Now I want to add in some of that white. Remember that gouache that we used on our clouds? I'm going to do some water flicks on this. Again, I'm just trying to keep the consistency of the white moving throughout the card. So I'm just going to load up my paintbrush and I'm just going to go ahead and start tapping that on. Now I forgot to get my splatter box, so you'll see I'll use my hand to try to keep the gouache or the watercolor from like spreading all over my desk. So if you want to be neat, I suggest just getting a splatter box. Don't do what I did. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and heat set this back as well. But look how pretty this is. It really looks almost like a rainbow galaxy. I think this paint will look fantastic doing a galaxy background. Now, once this is dry, I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to come back to the panel we already had. Now, this does come with a coordinating die, but at this point, I didn't want to mess this up by doing the die and then not getting it even. So I'm just going to go ahead and fussy cut this out. Now, what you could do is go ahead and die cut this out first before you start watercoloring. And then you already have your piece trimmed out in advance. I have forgot to die cut this in advance, so I'm just going to go ahead and fussy cut this out. Now look how gorgeous this background and this door looks. I mean, it's so pretty. At this point, I really don't think I want to add a sentiment to this. I think I'm just going to leave it like this. Remember, sometimes when you're making cards, you don't necessarily have to automatically put a sentiment on it. Just hold on to it, because I think I might want to make this a congratulations card or a birthday card. So I did, this piece is trimmed down where it's going to fit onto a white card base perfectly. And this is the top folding note cards from Hero Arts. And I am going to use my adhesive gun today just because this paper is like really thick, and I just want to make sure that I get it lined up and that the edges aren't going to come up with the wet medium. So this is going to give me a nice white border around that gorgeous background. I mean, look how pretty that is. Now for this piece here, I do want to pop this up. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab me some foam tape from this for this. So this is the 3M foam tape. This is like a staple in my room. Now, what I said about going about making this a galaxy background, you can totally do that and just put a sentiment on the top of this. Or you can color something else that's in that Hero Arts kit with these watercolors as well, and it's just going to be just as pretty. So again, for this piece here, I just want to pop this up, and then I can go ahead and press that down onto the card. So as you can see, it was not very difficult to put together. I suggest that you also try this with other watercolors and see what you like. I'm in love with these watercolors because they work perfectly with this month's kit from Hero Arts. All right, you can go ahead and place that down. And then I'm going to bring in the other card so you can totally see the difference between adding a sentiment and not adding a sentiment. It's totally up to you. But either way, it's going to look gorgeous with all that shimmer. So as you can see here, I have the sentiment, and the other one I don't. Totally up to you what you want to add to the card. All right, everybody, that is the tutorial for today. Thank you so much for the request. I was happy to do it. Don't forget to follow me here on all my social media, and I'll see you in another video soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.